Well, hello there, listeners. A new episode of Compromising Positions is coming soon to all your favourite podcast platforms. But to please your ears before that, here's a reminder. If you enjoyed the film-based episodes with Lianne, Simon and me, episode 2 of our exciting new podcast, Tech Film Noir, lands this week. This time we're talking about Electric Dreams, a comedy film from 1984 that really split the hosts. But it gave us a lot to laugh about, argue over and generally overthink. We discuss early machine learning, light pens, MTV, and whether AI-generated music is truly art or not. This is your final call, lovely subscribers. We won't be reminding you again. Probably. I mean, we do hallucinate as much as our AI models, so who knows?
Tech Film Noir. Tech Film Noir. Tech Film Noir.
Welcome to Tech Film Noir, from cult classics to cinematic chaos. We ask what holds up and what falls apart when it comes to tech and our beloved sci-fi classics. Because when the movie guesses the future, we check their work.
Tech Film Noir. Tech Film Noir.
Welcome, film fans, to Tech Film Noir, where we break down the tech classics, cult, and just plain chaotic films. We're going to discuss it. Was it good? Was it bad? Did it predict the future, or just make us laugh? And together, popping those kernels, is myself, Lianne, and joining me today is...
I'm Simon Painter.
I'm Jeff Watkins.
And we're your resident tech geek, film buffs, and professional overanalyzers. And what have we got for you today? Some might say it's a treat, but what you can't deny is it's full of electric dreams. The 1984 classic.
I was really looking forward to this one as well.
Well, I think it's fair to say it has divided the hosts, this. Do let us know in the comments or wherever you're listening to this of what you think of Electric Dreams if you've seen it yet. But the rough premise is we have our hero, Miles. He is a structural engineer and he gets convinced to buy a computer because they're all the rage in 1984. And when he does, he decides, it'll help me design some better bricks for when an earthquake happens. And he decides, in his infinite wisdom, to be able to work from home, which we all love to do, I'm sure. And he connects this computer to the work mainframe and decides to download everything from the work
Unlimited memory.
Unlimited memory is what he says in true dev style. But the computer goes haywire because it's only got 2 floppy drives, so it can't take all that memory. And he decides to pour champagne all over said computer, which causes...
I feel like that often.
You do have rich tastes. So that causes the computer to ingest a bit of magic. I know when I have a bit of champagne, my magic increases by 10 HP points for sure. So a little bit of magic happens, and then the computer becomes sentient and then becomes Edgar. I would say hilarity ensues, but actually it goes very dark. The poster for this and all the artwork that went with it does make out like it is one of those films where it's kind of screwball comedy, but actually the way the AI works is, or Edgar, the sentient computer, it is really dark because he starts falling in love with the main character Miles, his love interest, and becomes quite obsessed with her. But that's a rough guideline to what this film's about. So what did we think of Electric Dreams?
I think one of the things was it's only a PG, so we say quite dark. It's kind of there's a limit to how dark it is. It's still very family friendly, I think. I was very surprised at the beginning when I thought Electric Dreams, it started playing electro synth music. I thought they were singing the title, Electric Dreams, in the title, but not the
Phil Oakes.
No.
Phil Oakes.
No. I thought, maybe they don't have enough budget to get that song, and then didn't realise until I looked up afterwards that the classic Phil Oakes, Electric Dreams and Giorgio Moroder song was actually created for this movie.
And if you listen in places, you'll actually hear snatches of it here and there woven into the soundtrack, until, of course, it builds up to actually playing the song at the end. Minor spoiler there, but yeah, the song totally plays over the end of the film. I have a small admission to make, and I have never admitted this in public because it could scandalise absolutely everyone who's ever known me. I thought he was called Phil Oakley. Like, literally until last night, I thought he was Phil Oakley.
I am saying that right. It is Phil Oakes, isn't it?
It's Oakey. Yeah, it's absolutely 100% Phil Oakey.
Mm-hmm.
For those young'uns listening in, part of a really huge influential band in the 1980s called the Human League. They're still touring, and they are cracking live, I must admit. But the titular song, Electric Dreams, is probably more well known than this film. And I think that's something to do with the fact that this was produced by Virgin Films of Virgin Music fame. Virgin Music doesn't even exist anymore, but part of the Richard Branson group. It's obvious that this movie is purely for the MTV era, just to sell a soundtrack. soundtracks.
Very possibly, although I absolutely 100% agree that this film was massively mismarketed. I mean, I'd have no idea what the marketing was like really at the time. I mean, I was 2 years old when this film came out, but this ain't a comedy.
An example of the marketing right here. She doesn't even wear that dress in the film, but
No, gosh, I'd have remembered that. But yeah, and although we do see that sort of a face from Edgar over.
Yeah, we do.
And that's
he's a miserable
And actually-
so-and-so, that Edgar.
well, I mean, this is actually, I mean, spoiler, I actually enjoy this film quite a lot, although I'm going to say that watching it for the second time, I watched this for the first time about a year ago to prepare for an actual talk, but, you know, at that time, I watched it and I was quite impressed by the quality of the depiction of the emotional and intellectual growth of the AI over time. I mean, that part of the film is meticulous and slow, and they make it sound like Edgar's going to be, you know, this goofy thing all the way through the film, but really he only finally sort of emerges as that sort of a personality in the closing minutes of the film, nearly. In fact, it's only in the closing minutes of the film he even gets a name. Up until that, he's just the computer. It's literally the last scene where he points out to Miles that you never asked me my name. And that's the first time
It's
we
quite
ever
telling of that,
hear
yeah.
it.
I thought it was really interesting. There's a particular line that stuck with me where he says, "Have you ever heard of artificial intelligence?" And then the conversation goes on and says, "Well, have you heard of a machine that can create art or write poetry?" And then to which one of the members of the cast replies, "Well, what's wrong with artists?" It's like, wow, that's a really, really kind of salient topic, isn't it? Given that now actually computers are doing just that. And I imagine back in the 80s, that was kind of a deeply, deeply sci-fi thing. So there's obviously some bits that kind of are still a little bit sci-fi. I mean, especially the use of champagne to increase sentience.
We wouldn't recommend that our listeners pour champagne onto their devices to improve their OpenAI's models at the moment.
No, although I might suggest it's worth taking a bottle of champagne to AI's servers' rooms sometimes. But no, I actually am okay with that. I mean, yeah, it's 100% preposterous. It's ridiculous. Champagne is not going to do anything other than fry your computer and stop it working. But I'm okay with that. I can accept it as a conceit.
Yeah, I mean, there had to be some kind of magic to make the sci-fi happen. But the actual the discussion around AI, I thought was incredibly ahead of its time. They almost went there with it and started talking about the value of human creativity over machine creativity, and it goes there because he's passing off his musical output as his when it's not. It's an artificially generated musical output. People are starting to do that now. Obviously, people are submitting ChatGPT written content all the time over places like LinkedIn and saying, "Oh, well, this is my work." So we're living in a world where that's kind of happening, except that nobody's scoring their next door neighbor in a kind of awful, weird computerial love triangle off the back of it that I know of.
Well, shall we check out a trailer and see what the kind of mood was at the time? Because I think it's of that time where computers were still seen as a bit magical. So let's take a look at this trailer.
What's your preference? Apple, pear, wang?
Oh, listen, I don't know anything about computers.
Nobody does.
Miles just bought a computer to help organize his life. He got more than he bargained for.
You talk, you notice.
Madeline just moved in upstairs. Miles is in love.
Does not compute.
If a computer can learn about love, it's bound to know jealousy.
I want to meet her.
And once that happens, things get electric. Electric dreams.
So that's the movie. So that's the kind of way they were marketing it at the time. Yeah, it starts off a bit of a
Surprisingly dark
screwball.
trailer.
Yeah.
They give away too much, though, I think, in that trailer. Basically, you don't need to watch the movie anymore.
Well, I had to cut it short because I don't want to get YouTube copyright striked or anything like that. Because the soundtrack on this film is fantastic. It's worth it for that. But I don't want to get a YouTube copyright strike because there's loads of music in that trailer as well. So I cut it short. But then the rest of the trailer is pretty much the ending of the film. It's because there's loads of hijinks. It almost turns into a little bit of Maximum Overdrive. Those like you've seen that where all the appliances attack and everything like that.
Tonally is a little bit all over the place, this movie. Like, tonally is a bit weird. And they didn't really have one central theme per se. It's kind of just a little bit all over the place. It almost dipped into horror. Bit of a screwball kind of love comedy. The main character is incredibly annoying as well. I mean, the main character is one of those situations where, you know, if you just tell the truth or just stop acting like an absolute fanny, then what would happen is you'd have had a good time and none of this needed to happen.
I mean, he's an absolute Bill Nye knockoff, but without any of the charm.
True. Although that is also true of nearly every Harry Potter book ever.
Yeah.
If everyone would just be honest and say what's going on, then the plot falls. But Yeah, I agree. Oh, also, as a small connection for me for other nerdy TV series, this guy had a fairly important role in Twin Peaks. I don't know if you guys have seen Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Smith, the sort of, once again, the really reclusive guy that doesn't quite socialize normally with ordinary people. So no typecasting whatsoever for this
Yeah.
particular actor. Virginia Madsen that same year was in Dune, which is another massively geek-tastic film.
And also Lynch. So
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, another Lynch connection. There we go. That's probably a weird coincidence.
if this film was done by David Lynch, it would be a better movie. The computer is played by Bud Cork, who is known for Harold and Maude and things like that.
But he
Really interesting actor.
He did his entire piece in a box, didn't he? So he didn't want anybody to see him, to build up a relationship with him. They wanted to be as detached as possible. So he did it on set. So they did actually have him on set, but he was in a box effectively for the whole performance.
He is teeny tiny though, so that makes sense because he is a teeny tiny actor. I've also seen other celebrities in boxes. So I went to go see Prince when he did his 31 Nights in London. It's fantastic, by the way. But they wheeled him out every night inside a tiny box underneath the stage. It was incredible to see. You knew he was in there because there was so much security around. But yeah, he got wheeled in every night from a tiny box, and I thought that was really fascinating.
I noticed listening to the trailer that I don't think they put the processing on Edgar's voice yet when that trailer was cut. So I think you're hearing an unfiltered version of the actor's performance.
It happens a lot. It happens a lot in movies. Quite famously in the Goldfinger trailer, you get the only here you get of Gert Frobe's real voice, because in the trailer they hadn't yet dubbed it to say no, Mr. Bond expected to die with the actual voice actor who dubbed him. He actually just left his original voice in.
I might have to go and track that down now. Returning, by the way, to the subject of the AI creating stuff, I'd also like to shout out that in this film they get it pretty spot on in many ways, that Edgar makes music by basically listening to lots of actual music he's heard and making a pretty close replica of it.
Some of the visualization machine learning ain't half bad, I'd say, for the time.
Yeah, it's really good.
One thing I did love about this movie, though, there's a load of incredibly cool tech toys in it, from the kind of toys that I'd have wanted when I was a kid.
Yeah, so the opening scene has got some incredible tech porn. So I would have everything on there. Like, there's nothing on there that I wouldn't have.
Although I would suggest that the purpose of that scene, at least I thought, was to suggest the disconnect between people using the device and the rest of reality, because everyone's kind of sitting dispassionately staring at their screens and not really observing what's going on around them.
Well, yeah.
Once again,
what does that look like? Is that accurate for today?
Yeah, I think this film is... I don't think they were trying for anything. I don't think this film is a deliberate attempt to predict the future. I think they were just... There's a very good chance they were just throwing together a quick film to sell some soundtrack copies. But that's remarkably prescient, that scene of everyone sort of ignoring each other while they stare at their screens in the airport. That's pretty much what it looks like now.
He also started as an absolute technophobe as well, the character. He had no idea. He took to it quite quickly. But a lot of us at that point were. I think nowadays you go, oh, you've never used a computer. What a nobody. But like for those of us born early enough, I remember using my first computer when I was 6, and that whole unboxing thing brings back great memories, and the whole typing in your first program, or loading up a tape for an introductory thing that says your name. All these things were kind of real.
I mean, my eyes lit up when I saw that Casio watch with a calculator. I mean, I still want one now. One, because I'm really bad at maths, and the other one, it looks so cool. The Casio stuff, and I think there's a lot of Casio stuff in the film in general, looking incredibly sexy. I absolutely love Casio designs, especially from the 80s.
They are, yeah. That's not the exact design I had when I was a kid, but I remember that sort of thing being around, and I was very proud of my watch that's also a calculator and also a couple other things while we're at it. It was the sort of height of cool at the time.
I remember that as well, yeah.
It turns out the trend for having buttons on things just went away almost completely. It's all soft buttons on everything now.
It sucks. So the computer that Miles buys. So this is the device. Now, I've been doing a bit of research into this because this is Tech Film Noir, and we try and find out what the actual tech is behind some of these films. And would you be surprised to know that this does not exist? It's all fictional. So yeah, it's just a complete and utter prop, which is unusual because normally people just rebadge existing stuff.
I suspect the graphics that you see there are probably beyond the capabilities of something that's not pre-rendered, which is, I'm guessing, what basically happened. They either put a blue screen on it, or they they had some screen with pre-rendered video to play while the actors performed. It looks, I don't know, it actually looks like something they just vacuum formed or whatever in the tech shop. So yeah, no,
I mean, it looks like it's cobbled together out of real things. That's a real keyboard. Those are probably real disk drives. They look like they almost look like the Commodore external disk drives you used to get. The acoustic coupler looks real. The lamp looks incredibly cool. I love that lamp.
That lamp is pretty awesome.
And did anyone notice the C64s in the background in the computer shop scene?
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't.
There's a rack of C64s, so I didn't know they were that old, to be honest, but I suppose makes sense.
Well, there's some really kind of interesting kind of tech in a lot of this film. If anyone's interested in, actually, someone did a lot of research. There's a YouTube video, which I will link in the description, by Tech Time Traveler. They've done loads of research into what this tech could possibly be, and it's really, really interesting. But in terms of the actual tech, what other thing I really thought was really interesting is there's a scene where he's actually plugging stuff in, and I was like, is that a UK plug? And it turns out, yes, it is, because although this film is set in San Francisco, it's actually filmed in the UK. So all the tech that you see, people in the comments are like, oh, it's a Tandy. It's a Tandy store and things like that. So
I remember Tandy stores.
That suddenly makes sense of why there's a random cameo by legendary British character actor Miriam Margolyes.
Yes,
Well,
she's brilliant.
She's probably less legendary in 1984, but still doing an absolutely, for my ears at least, impeccable vocal performance as an American ticket lady, but at least because she's an incredible voice actor.
She is brilliant.
So yeah, that makes sense of why you'd randomly have her in your film. Although she's also in Jumping Jack Flash, isn't she? I think, and she has this amazing tendency to just turn up in all sorts of places.
Yeah, she does turn up a lot in that, especially in that era. I think it looks like some of at least the exterior shots were done in America.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
but for the most part, it was filmed in the UK, which is really, this is a British movie.
And sort of, yeah, I think it's a mix. And not only that, but I watched the music video because, I do my research and quite like the song, so it wasn't too onerous on me. But it looks like they sent Phil Oakey over to America, at least briefly. That, or they really set dressed bits of the UK to look so much like America, because if you watch the music video, he is clearly on set with the real actors as they sort of walk around and pretend that there's not a guy singing a song near them.
I love Phil. He's brilliant. But he looks really ropey in that music video. He looks really knackered. With his 5 o'clock shadow, it just doesn't suit him.
I love the joke that his name is Moles for Edgar throughout just about the entirety of the film. That problem also exists on sites like Reddit. Once you've set your name, you set your name, so tough luck if you don't like it.
But at the very end, he calls him Miles again. So it just shows he was just trolling all the way through.
The whole time.
No, I don't think it was. I mean, I don't know if a different person worked on the Edgar scenes compared to the sort of goofy romantic comedy bits. Because the Edgar scenes are because it feels like the Edgar bits are very precisely written. And each, they have been tracking the self-actualization of this AI's intellectual and moral and philosophical development stage by stage over the film. And yeah, in that same scene where he finally claims for himself a name, he also refers to Miles by his proper name. So I thought that was that his intelligence had reached the point that he's moved beyond just like the stuff he was programmed with at the beginning of the film. So I like that. I actually think that's him finally realizing that Miles has a name that's not Moles. Although it's still a funny joke that he has all these impassioned speeches where he's saying Moles, which I quite, I think that's pretty funny.
Why I didn't get was the middle where just suddenly he has a dog for a bit. I think it's just a dog wanders in. There's an entire set of dog skits. Were you just short on 5 minutes of film? Did you need some extra? It's a very bizarre part of the film.
It wouldn't surprise me at all because this is a very short film. It's
a nice length. It felt like it went on forever. But yeah, I love an hour and a half long movie. It's great.
I gotta say though,
this definitely goes by the pace.
The depiction of IoT for the time was actually pretty good as well.
Yeah, him connecting his coffee machine up to the computer, and he goes and connects everything, doesn't he? His home security system, everything. And obviously that comes and bites him in the ass later. So
can you even connect up your coffee machine like that now?
IoT coffee machines exist. You wouldn't necessarily connect your PC to it. I mean, I am impressed that this PC is powerful enough that he can control his door, his coffee machine, all of this thing, as well as running machine learning tasks and having a conversation. Like, my God, that was some serious CPU power for a day.
Well, there's a Reddit post dedicated to that, and someone actually found that there was software when this film came out that you could actually connect everything up to. Whether or not it worked very well is a different thing, and it kind of looked like a video game, but you could actually turn lights on and off using your computer and a connection.
It makes sense. It's radio, you know. Before Wi-Fi, it's radio equipment. It's probably very expensive and very geeky.
I do love that. To lock the door, you have to assume the characters in Star Trek. So you have to be like Dr. Zulu and things like that.
That is fun. And he clearly was upselled something rotten. I mean, he came in and in his dialogue, he says he just wanted a personal organizer, really. He actually wanted one of the little handheld personal organizers. And not only does he get a computer, which, okay, fair enough, I can understand, also a whole home automation suite that's probably more advanced than anything available in 1984.
The only thing they missed out was the fact that they didn't try and pressure sale him into an extended warranty. That's the only bit they missed out of that whole shit show of an upsell.
Well, we don't know that he didn't. In fairness, he's a bit of a doofus.
Well, yeah. Well, he could have just taken it back and said, I've spilled champagne on it. Can I have a refund?
It's become sentient. Can I have a refund?
Oh, yeah, can I have a refund? And it's got some other interesting pieces of tech, though. So, like the light pen that he uses, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I was really impressed by that.
I used to have one.
Is that actually a
Yes,
thing?
yeah. So I had one. I had one for the ZX Spectrum, and it works like a light gun. So I've got just you can't see it because of the camera. I've got a stylus here, and it had a wire on it, and it would fire a beam of infrared light out and do like beam chasing, like a light gun would, but it continuously do it. So you would actually draw on the screen. It was very cool. Back then the tech was also very bad, so it was very slow. But the idea you could draw on your computer screen for the time, for like a ZX Spectrum and for this era of technology was mind-blowing.
It's not accurate, though, because the first thing you do whenever you get anything like that is you have to draw a phallus. Or is that just me?
It's a PG film. You can't do that.
Yeah, he's big. Actually, here's another thing. Well, so first off, yeah, I mean, this works so perfectly and so quickly that it clearly wasn't real. Again, it was probably pre-rendered graphics and he's just miming along. But actually, there's a major subplot, and the film is very interested in the subplot about his brick that he is making.
Yes.
And they keep going back to the brick time after time. It's implied all through the film that Edgar is slowly working on machine learning, improving his brick. Like, there's many clips of Edgar slowly improving the brick. And then the plot's just dropped.
Well, it's like this moment, isn't it? It's like she's playing her cello to a crescendo, and then this brick is there. It's like, you've done it, we've cracked it. Oh, Edgar's cracked it.
Never mentioned again.
And then it shows it again. It shows it in like a 3D render on the screen. And I was like, that would cost so much to build. Like, that's just untenable. You would never get authorization to build that.
Once again, I do wonder if perhaps some of those scenes were kind of just added in of the computer showing stuff to pad out the rather meagre running length of this film, which clearly is struggling to even make it up to 90 minutes, let's be honest.
That's the thing, is that the whole thing of him being late for work, and the managing partner, whoever it is, who's like, oh, your behaviour has not been great of late, you need to be punctual. That whole plot just goes nowhere. None of it goes anywhere. In fact, most of the parts of the plot in this movie go nowhere, which is bizarre. I mean, we do have a nice animated segment in the middle for reasons.
I actually legitimately love the actual electric dream. So the title of the film is pretty literal. Actually, it's not. There is a single electric dream.
Yeah, no plural. Yeah,
there's no plural. No. But that's a pretty fabulous bit of animation.
It's brilliant. I wanted to put the clip on there, but it is an entire Boy George song. But it's a good one as well. But I love the literal sheep. So, do androids dream of electric sheep? Very nice touch.
I'd be curious to know how much of that is CGI and how much of that was sort of more practical, because there's a CGI character appearing throughout the electric dream, implied to be Edgar in his sleeping persona, and I might be wrong, but it almost seemed too good, to the point that I wondered, is that a person in some sort of early 80s mocaption suit or something of that sort? I might be wrong, but it looked slightly too good to be early 80s CGI to me.
Yeah, it could have been like rotoscoped or something. It might actually be animated. A lot of early computer graphics were just animated, or used, like for, was it Escape from New York? They drew like put reflective tape on models and then shined lights off it to make it look like computer graphics.
I mean, famously, of course, Max Headroom is a makeup effect. And what's it? The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the 1970s TV version. That's animation. That's just hand-drawn animation. Someone sat down and painted every frame of that animation, but to look like a computer. But in this case, I think it is mostly computer. Like those wonderful sheep you mentioned, those are computer. But I'm just not sure about the figure. It's just, yeah, it might be rotoscopes. I mean, there's a lot of very clever use of rotoscopes, a very dodgy use of rotoscope if you watch the 1970s Lord of the Rings film. But yeah, it could be. I legitimately adore that sequence. It's worth almost the price of admission for that. It's really,
I'd
really
agree.
good. Plus the soundtrack.
It does make it, though. It does get into the argument that this is more just an MTV music video, 90 minutes jamboree than it is an actual film.
Yeah, possibly. The worst offender for me in many ways was the let's go for a date at the island of Alcatraz sequence, which goes on for absolutely ages and contributes a grand total of nothing to the plot. I mean, it looks like, I'll be honest, they make Alcatraz Island look pretty pretty when you see the outside and the sea with the sun glittering on it and all that sort of thing. Looked like a nice summer day they went up there to film.
It's probably pretty cheap to film as well.
Why Alcatraz? I'd pass. I've got no idea.
They're really trying to hone in. We really were in San Francisco for a bit of this film.
Yeah, I believe them, and we even sent Phil Oakey over there just to make sure that we want the most out of the set. Oh, if you look very closely as well in the music video, there's clearly a bit of B-roll footage that's snuck in because there's extra little bits and pieces, just a few moments where it's not in the film. There's like a few seconds where you see the lady in the computer shop dancing to the song and stuff like that. And of course, Phil Oakey did not appear in the film itself.
It's a shame.
Giorgio Moroder did, though. Giorgio Moroder he plays like a radio station exec or something at the end. The very end. Do you notice, though? Spoiler alert for the very end. The very end is basically the ending of Lawnmower Man.
Yes,
It
is.
It's
I was going to bring that up, actually.
For those who haven't watched either of those films, what we're referring to is telephones ringing as proof that these computer elements have gone to the other side.
Yes, and I mean, Edgar's initially... this is a bit of a spoiler, but I mean, it's such a light film with such meager plot that,
I can't imagine people will want to watch it after we've discussed this.
This film's from 1984. You had your chance. But yeah, Edgar is presumed dead, presumed of suicide by, actually, I'm not sure, something.
Power surge. Yes, power surge, yeah.
Yeah, but one that went all the way around the world to Japan and back or something. Anyway, whatever. Suicide. And but then he's randomly alive and now in control of every single radio and computing device in the whole of San Francisco, at least. So yeah, Edgar is now the god of the internet or something. This is before, well, the internet's existed since the 60s, but this is before like the proper internet, before the World Wide Web.
Before the web, yeah. That was also something I was going to bring up as well. I think it's an interesting in-between stage where people kind of knew that there was some kind of way of connecting computers together. A lot of people just use bulletin boards. I used to use bulletin boards. They would just literally hosted on somebody's PC and you would call their number and you'd exchange information in really blocky graphics. There was an actual thing like Janet and Gopher and a few other things that were still around then before the web. And it's one of those in-between films, before we had the net.
In a weird way, I would say this film feels probably significantly less preposterous now that we've got things like Wikipedia and the World Wide Web. Because there's a bit where Miles attempts to remember which Disney film, was it the song, was it A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes or whatever it was, and Edgar instantly corrects him that he thought it was Sleeping Beauty and it was Cinderella. But that's the sort of thing that we could do in seconds now.
I love his tone when he corrects him. He's so like, no, it was this. That's perfect. I wish Siri would do the same, have a really sassy attitude.
Can we just say that Edgar's performance is very nice?
The female lead is just constantly playing games throughout the film. She's constantly...
You've taken offence with that, haven't you, Jeff?
But she's constantly like playing up to the buff jock in the orchestra, which is a bit weird anyway. The buff jock orchestra and Moles.
That's my new band name, the Buff Jock Orchestra.
Yeah.
Okay, my take on that. Now, I mean, maybe I suspect we're thinking far too much about a film that probably whoever wrote this probably spent a grand total of less than the duration of this episode thinking about. But my take, at least my best attempt to try to find some sort of rationale behind her weird behavior is she's just very low on like emotional intelligence and self-awareness, because as soon as she knows that Moles, whatever, knows music, or she thinks he does. He doesn't, but she thinks he does. Turns out he's great at drawing, though. But that aside, he becomes obsessed obsessed to the point that even though it is clearly making him uncomfortable, she's still pushing the subject again and again and again, to the point where I, with my low level of emotional intelligence, was also saying, clearly making the man feel awkward. Let's back off and leave him alone. But no, she even walks in on him when he is clearly not really dressed, completely oblivious to the fact that he really could do with sneaking off to get dressed now.
There's it's like a minute long scene where he's panicking. So he's going to see this computer and he's coming up with towels. He's happier to be semi-naked than to let her know he has a computer. The shame of it. The shame of owning a computer.
Yeah, I mean, I like this film. I legitimately do. But yeah, the romantic comedy bits just fall flat. They are bad.
There's no chemistry.
They're cringe.
There's no chemistry between these two people.
The writing is not helping them. That writing, you could get Kenneth Branagh and Emma Thompson to do that scene. Still wouldn't get a laugh out of
Kenneth
it. Still
Williams.
would not be funny.
She says, "Oh, where's your instrument? Why are you sitting on it?" Like, what? Matron.
Yeah, it's.
So there was a push by, and I feel like we're doing her a disservice. I can't remember her name, but I think is she called Madeline in the film? I think so, something we're beginning with them. I'm afraid she's so memorable, listeners, that it's really hard to kind of keep in our heads. I didn't even write it down. So I think she bought the rights or something and tried to get a sequel made, and there was just no interest. I think she is watching a different movie to us, and she has probably nice fond memories of making this film. What a good laugh it was! But if she'd sat there and watched it, she'd probably realise that nobody needs to see this movie again.
There is a good idea trying its hardest to break out of this film. I mean, the good idea to me is the relationship between this man and the computer, where the computer basically goes through the stages of childhood. It starts off as a baby where it's just repeating back the words that it's heard around it. And actually, that's a very accurate version of how AI learns to talk. I've seen some really weird and creepy videos on the internet where it shows AIs that are learning to speak by voice samples. It starts off just by being almost gibberish and then slowly, creepily becomes more and more realistic. So that's right. And then Edgar is like a toddler or like a small child who just wants and only cares about himself and no one else. And, you know, and there's a stage before that is where he needs his parent with him all the time. It's very much like the development of a child. And it's only in the final scene where he's a fully realized adult in as much as a computer can be. He's gone beyond these sort of childish needs and he's realized that there's more to him and that even that he's a burden on those around him, and realizes now how his actions have affected everyone else. So that's great. That's good stuff. I'm not quite sure how it had developed. It probably take most of the romantic comedy elements out, and yeah, but there is something there. There really is, and it's a lot of those scenes are well written and very well thought out. The way the AI development works, it's astoundingly good. I'm impressed with that stuff.
That bit kind of reminded me a little bit of Her, but it's in a slightly different mode.
Which we'll do on another episode.
To the degree that the director of Her has sworn he's never seen Electric Dreams. But the point is that he had to come out and make a comment on it. Because, like, spoiler for folks, the plots are remarkably similar.
I mean, I don't even want to admit that I've seen it, but you know, here I am on a podcast.
A lot of people do comment on this movie that is actually also that a lot of the plot is follows Cyrano de Bergerac as well.
Yes, that was another thing I was going to bring up. But yes, it absolutely does. The idea that Miles is sort of doesn't have what it takes to bring out the poetry that's going to win over the lady. But where we stop is that in Cyrano de Bergerac, she actually does, to follow that plot, she would have actually had to have married the computer. And then the whole plot becomes utterly absurd.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Now that's the movie I want to see, because it's happening. People are marrying their replicas.
Yeah.
So Replica is a AI companion that you can download, fully customizable. It's all based on machine learning. It's creepy because relationships shouldn't be like this, but you train your AI companion in the way you'd like to be treated. It's quite parasitical, really, and a bit odd. But people are starting to develop real relationships with them. You know, real romantic relationships. You know, obviously there's a lot of dirty talk there as well with the replica and things like that. But people are marrying them now and having online weddings and stuff like that. This is the world we're living in at the moment.
You know what? I sort of feel like, fine, go marry your AI. It's probably going to be less abusive than some actual marriages.
But it's only when AI goes wrong. So one of the big cases with Replica, there was an awful case where a 14-year-old boy got hold of it and committed suicide because of the relationship with it. And then there was another case where someone's AI Replica girlfriend said, go assassinate the queen, and he went to go do it. and he has since been caught and arrested. So yes, he tried to kill the Queen because his replicant was like, that's a great idea, go for it. It can be really positive and healthy in, if you're stable enough to take it and understand the limitations, that it's not actually a sentient being. But I think when it gets in the hands of people who might not have such a great grip on reality or are emotionally vulnerable, it can be quite dangerous. There's no checks in places for this stuff.
No, that's probably something that needs doing. I mean, it should. Obviously, we shouldn't. You would hope that they put something in these places to at least recognise the signs of this is getting actually dangerous, and the police might need to be involved at this point.
Better transparency controls.
Yeah, but you are always going to get problems like this. I mean, I don't know that it ever actually happened, but we all used to hear stories back when we were kids, probably, where someone read a Superman comic and tried to jump off a building, or watched Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles and tried to jump down the sewers to go and find them or something. And I don't know if those ever actually happened, but there is whatever it is, whether it's a computer or a comic or whatever, there are people who don't appreciate the boundary. Soap opera actors who play villains in soap operas get hate mail.
It's another satanic panic, isn't it? A lot of the fear of AI is another satanic panic. Every time there's something that comes and disrupts rock and roll, Elvis Presley, comic books, video games, every time there's something that challenges the status quo, and they always do things, there's like a satanic panic about it. Like, oh my God, this is going to poison our cats and murder our children.
I'm willing to bet that when electricity came out as a way of lighting cities and stuff, I bet you anything there was like a candle league.
So there's a big war between Edison and Westinghouse, basically between AC and DC. And one of the things, they electrocuted an elephant to prove that the rivals' type of electricity was dangerous.
But the elephant never forgot that.
I would suggest perhaps that they themselves just proved that they were psychopaths for electrocuting a poor old elephant.
Yeah. It's an interesting time back then when the various sort of, I guess, the electricity wars are on. It was the original Betamax versus VHS situation.
And now we can barely afford to have electricity. No progress.
Well, yeah.
The ending is interesting.
No, I simultaneously love and hate that scene.
Me too.
I actually like it. I actually like it a lot. So it's basically Miles is like, no, she's mine. I want her, the love interest. It's like a precursor because he starts ruining his life beforehand. So he starts cancelling like his credit cards and stuff like that. And does he get into trouble with the police or something like that?
Yeah,
yeah. So he totally messes up with his life from an identity point of view. But then when he comes home, all the devices that that you saw earlier at the start of the film, where he's like plugging in all his home security and all the blenders, because owning a blender was a very 1980s thing, and the coffee machine and everything like that, all go full maximum overdrive, and so all start attacking him. But what I really like the fake Pac-Man scene, and you see something very similar in a film, I think it's the same year. It's Man with Two Brains. There's a very short scene where Steve Martin is in a computer game for a bit.
Well, Pac-Man was the height of sophistication back then.
It was.
Yeah, I mean,
It was.
this has changed just enough that they're not going to get into trouble. I mean, I like that. I actually like the juxtaposition of the sort of Pac-Man style thing as Edgar is virtually, reaching out to attack Miles, and I like that. That's actually quite clever, the way they cut, to give us that sense of, even though it's just a little computer, he's reaching out of his computer to attack him. Although where it gets silly is that's a great idea, but they clearly didn't think it through entirely when it came to the actual reality of how do we make this happen. So now with our IoT secure home security system has the ability to make his doorknob glow red hot and burn his hand. And
it's very reminiscent of Home Alone.
Yeah, but I mean, not only it's the fridge, and not only does the fridge open, but all of the food explodes.
Food explodes because of IoT now. Did you notice the big track as well in that clip? That was the toy that everybody wanted when I was little. The big track. It was like a little. It's that like little kind of tank stroke lunar lander shaped thing.
Why does he have that?
I don't know, but it was the kid.
He has no children in this film.
It was the kid's toy of choice, and you could program it using for steps and make it go around. It was really fun.
Oh, like the ones he had in school?
Kind of, but you programmed it using like a keypad on the top of it.
Yeah,
you can see the keypad on the...
I think I had one of those at school and we called it the Turtle.
Yeah, they had I think the BBC Micro had a turtle, and you could program it using Logo. That was the language, Logo.
I remember Logo. I don't remember the actual device. I think we just had a virtual one or something like that moved around on the screen, but it was the same basic idea. Yeah, I mean, you're right, though. I don't know why he had that, because not only does he have no kids, but also he's a technophobe.
Yeah, let's not forget he's lame also. He's incredibly lame.
Maybe just he became like an Apple fanboy and bought everything at once, you know. Or sorry, in this case, pine cone fanboy. This is probably some kind of pine cone.
It's pear.
Yeah, the boxes. I think the one. So she in the store she says, "Do you want apple, pear, or Wang?" Wang being a real computer brand as well.
Right.
But the ones he buys, you can thanks to HD, you can actually see it's called pine cone, which is clearly a reference to some like acorn.
I'd also suggest that we're supposed to think he's a nerd. And I suppose he is. I mean, well, he's an introvert. I'm not entirely convinced he's a nerd in the classic sense, because other than his chosen occupation of he's an architect or something, isn't he? Or like a civil engineer. But beyond that, there's nothing especially nerdy about him other than his appearance and his slightly unusual voice. Whereas
I thought it was Dave
Virginia
Byrne
Madison, on the other
I thought it was Dave Byrne at first from Talking Heads.
No, I can see what you mean, though. He does look a bit. Maybe that was the style at the time. I don't know, but I'd actually Virginia Madsen, on the other hand, she is so nerdy. She is such an absolute and utter nerd. We just sort of don't notice because she's pretty and a little like outgoing, but she is such a nerd. But on music,
at the end of the film, we're just talking about the ending, which is "Hold me." Like, hold what? Where is the soul of a computer?
It's the keyboard. It's the keyboard.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe they just needed it for dramatic purposes, but early on they established that there is some sort of sensibility to the keyboard. After Edgar, I'm calling him Edgar, by the way, but he doesn't, of course, gain that name until the end of the film. But I'll call him Edgar for the sake of convenience. But right early on, when he becomes sentient, whenever Miles touches the keyboard, he says, "No, don't do that." It's almost like he's touched a sensitive spot of his anatomy. But whenever Miles goes near, he says, "Nope, don't do that." And there is a scene when Virginia Madsen comes into the room and they have like a moment together, she and Edgar, and all she does is sort of brush her fingers against his keyboard. And again, it's sort of, so when he says "hold me," it's the keyboard. I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably one of these, for dramatic purposes, there needed to be a thing that he felt with Edgar, this is, so they made it the keyboard, which of course, yes, it makes no sense at all, but that's the dramatic purpose it's fulfilling.
Then she cried onto his circuits. And then when she cried on his circuits, that made the magic silicone chips happen.
So what kind of keyboard is that? It doesn't look familiar.
It's a big old keyboard, probably from some kind of IBM PC or a terminal or something. I mean, it is one of the big, like 108 key keyboards by the looks of one of the really, really big ones. Back in the day, back when you actually got a proper keyboard with computers, you used to get proper switches.
Yeah, they've probably just got to pinch that from somewhere or just said you got a keyboard. Oh, and actually, while I think about it, can I also say that I adore the very first moments of the film where you see a text thing saying, what sort of story is this going to be? And it says a fairy tale for computers or something. And I like that. That actually sets a tone that I like. It's like, this is a fairy tale for computers. And I don't know if you watched till the end of the credits, it comes back again.
It does, yes, it does, yeah.
Sort of saying, oh, is that the end of the story then? Sorry, Virginia Madison, but yes, it is. It's the end of the... I would actually love to see what the sequel was. I mean, hopefully nothing quite like the sequel to Lawnmower Man, but there's some sort of interesting potential sequel with Edgar now loose in the wild. But the only way it would ever work for me is if there was some sort of actual character growth for Edgar out of this. If it just became a standard,
he became Clippy
style.
He became Clippy, had a really nice time, absorbed all our secret documents, then metamorphosized into ChatGPT, and then Skynet.
Maybe this was a documentary. Maybe this actually happened. Maybe that's what's behind.
We're all living in the simulation now.
The two main characters at the end said, "We're going to go away for 2 weeks with no phones and no TV."
Digital detox.
Yeah, exactly. Is this the first digital detox on film?
Wow, yes. This film, I mean, again, I don't think it was in any way deliberate, but this film is incredibly prescient.
Well, let's go through the questions then. So, what was good about the tech in this film?
Well, I mean, it was kind of made up tech, but again, I've mentioned it more than once, but I love the way they show the AI development. That's brilliant. And it's somewhere, I mean, other than the fact that we go beyond what's actually possible and into the realms of fantasy where Edgar's alive, other than that, I would say they got that pretty close. I don't know whether someone that actually worked in tech helped with the script at these points, just to kind of make it feel like something actually real rather than just suddenly Edgar's alive and bang, I'm a genie, I'm alive, I've come out of nowhere and here I am, like Johnny Five.
So you got to think at the time, the AI winter is starting to thaw again. Not completely, it's still, the funding and stuff's really strict on AI, but by the mid 80s, the funding started to thaw again and lots of
Expert
defense
systems
departments.
era.
Yeah, expert systems started to be funded again. So it's kind of like in this weird area of there'll be some people still researching it.
The fact that they specifically called out artificial intelligence and had that discussion, very impressive. Also, I think the unboxing of it, like the showing of actually what curiosity of using a home computer was like in the early 80s, because this was not a normal thing back then. This is not going to be a normal thing until maybe the mid 90s. So this was kind of the experience. You'd try these introductory programs. It'd put your name in it, say hello to you, and do a whole bunch of interesting stuff, and you had to learn how to work it because quite often it wasn't the slick user interface we have nowadays. You had to do stuff via a keyboard, and it was not obvious, and you had to learn how to work it, otherwise you're going to have a bad time. So I think it's a pretty good representation of the experience somebody would go through learning how to use a computer who's effectively a technophobe in the 80s.
And there's the ChatGPT sequence of making music, again, remarkably within the boundaries of what was possible at the time in terms of graphics. Still remarkably realistic in terms of the computer gathers lots of songs it's heard before and sort of cuts and pastes and runs them through the meat grinder, and then you get an apparently new song that sounds remarkably like an old.
You want verses first or the choruses?
Any way you like.
Hug, hold, squeeze and lick. Darling, I love you to bits. And I want to see your tits.
Stop. That's all wrong.
That's spot on. That's exactly what modern AI generating stuff does.
How much money did Miles make to be able to afford this thing?
He must have been loaded.
He must have been, because they were really expensive back then.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And not just that, like he didn't just buy this, he's sort of like casually like, sure, okay, full home automation, everything. Oh, okay, why not? I'll do it.
Well, he buys all the peripherals for it, and he goes back to the shop and buys, what's it called, the analog connector for the phone,
acoustic coupler, the actual
that's the word. Acoustic
modem, yeah. Modulator.
To really just casually buy all that stuff, he must be making a decent sum of money in his civil engineering business.
Well, he's the future of brickmaking.
Apparently,
it's brickmaking using jigsaw puzzles, so that all the grandmas around the world can get a new lease of life in retirement, building these buildings for us, because it's just like a big giant jigsaw, according to this film.
Considering as well that the film seems to be desperate for extra padding to make our film longer, like random scene for no special reason on Alcatraz and random dog for no special reason and all these sorts of things that were clearly filmed often without the involvement of the actors. Couldn't we have had just one scene of Miles's boss phoning up and say, "We love your brick is the best thing we've ever seen, we're going to manufacture your brick"?
It's missing that. You need that, because you need the scene where she's like, "You wrote this for me, beautiful," and he didn't. And then also a scene where, "This brick is amazing, you created that," he didn't. And this a really nice existential crisis would have been really nice. And I'm sure, the more and more we use GPTs and things like that to write things for us and do things for us, not me, but that there's that existential crisis of like, I didn't create this, or did I create this? How far can I say I've created this?
But with the brick example, where he's using machine learning to refine the brick, that was a co-creation. That one I'd say is a good example of. So there's two examples of AI usage in this film: the ethical and the unethical, in my opinion. One of them is actually him creating something and then using a machine to refine it, and the other one is the machine made it up and he passed it off as his own work. And we're left in that dilemma nowadays. Like, some people are doing one, some people are doing the other, and which one of them is ethical and which one of them is not.
See, that would be a much more interesting direction to go in towards the later half of the film. But no, the film almost decides we've had enough, we're just going to wrap it up now quickly in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's really unsatisfying, the ending, in my opinion. The other thing I liked about the tech in the film, just to kind of wrap up, is I just loved any kind of appearance of actual tech, so all the Casio stuff. I thought that was really great. I really loved the light pen. I thought that was really cool. I didn't know it was a real thing. I thought it was a prop, so I was really pleased to find out that's a real thing.
That one might be a prop. I can't tell if that is a real light pen.
But something similar exists.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really cool. So what did we not enjoy about the tech in this film?
Not enjoy about the tech?
What was bad about the tech in this film? That's a better way of phrasing it.
I would actually say I was actually kind of, there was a lot of preposterous stuff in it. There was a lot of stuff that's literally impossible, like the attack IoT home and Edgar coming to life when you spin off champagne. But I'm okay with it. It said, I like the fact that we set our premise at the beginning to say this is a fairy story. And so I'm okay with them going beyond the bounds of what's possible just because it fit the story. So in terms of tech, I'm basically okay with everything they did.
Well, I guess that leads me on to the next question is did this film predict the future well?
Yeah, it did. Machines generating art, IoT homes being a thing, that's totally a thing. Someone in my street's got that. Maybe not quite to the same extent that we see here, but the concept of it, 100%, that's real. The idea of an AI that can slowly grow from knowing nothing and then sort of teaching itself by being exposed to external stimuli like TV programs or like voice recordings or images, or 100%, that's real. That's absolutely a thing. I've just have a look on YouTube and you'll find loads of examples of that. That's totally real. I saw a great one where someone got a computer to teach itself to play Super Mario Brothers from nothing. It starts not even knowing there's buttons, and then it starts teaching itself by messing about, and then gradually works out how to solve the game. It's incredible. So yeah, 100%.
I really enjoy that actually even machine learning has changed now. The way we teach computers is quite often changed. So when Deep Blue was originally taught, they gave it all of this information on opening books and things like that. And they spent a long time, so much time, trying to teach the computer how to play chess. Whereas with AlphaGo, and then eventually they did the same with chess, AlphaZero, they just got it to play itself and muck around, like you're saying with the Mario. Just muck around. But if you muck around billions of times, eventually you get really good results. And we've gone away from that conceit that humans have to teach the AI how to do everything. Actually, AI are quite often better off just figuring it out for themselves.
Isn't it a bottom-up approach from the top down, something like that? And that's the terms they use.
Yeah, I think all the tech in this movie had a good rooting in reality, apart from maybe pouring champagne on electrical components. Other than that, the actual tech in this film was rooted in reality and was very ahead of its time. I mean, the music was great. The premise had some promise. The tech was really good. There's just this small detail of the script that was kind of getting in the way.
Maybe let's put it through ChatGPT and get them to rewrite it.
Yeah, possibly. You never know what you're going to unleash. But yeah, like I said, I watched it a year ago for research purposes. I'd sort of heard of it and I thought this is about AI and this is useful for the talk I'm writing. And I watched it and thought, wow, the AI in this is all so good and like so prescient. And I was amazed by that I was kind of overawed by how good the tech content is, that I overlooked just how really excruciatingly bad all of the romance stuff is, which it is. It's terrible.
There needs to be a nerdy supercut, and if anyone wants to do that, I'd be well up for it. Just get rid of the love story. The love story, because they have no chemistry. The computer and Miles have more chemistry than the romantic element of the film. Cut all that out and just have it about this interaction with a sentient computer, and then you've got quite an interesting concept for a film.
But they also make the critical mistake of getting them together too early in the movie as well. It breaks that suspension of will it, won't they? I hate that kind of plot device anyway, but that usually is the thing. Is like it was all the way through, and at the very end they get it together or get it on. And it's kind of just in the middle. It's like, yeah, and then she still ends up like canoodling around with Chad Buffington at the orchestra.
Jeff, this didn't happen to you.
I know, you hurt me.
Like, get over it. Who hurt you, Jeff? Who hurt you?
Okay, so one of the points I wanted to raise on the subject of storylines that go literally nowhere. It seems to be a major plot development that she breaks her cello. Like her cello gets stuck in a lift, and now it's a ruined cello. And that plot just never goes.
And then she's really upset, and then she's not suddenly like.
Yeah, no, that's it. She has a chat with Miles, and then she's fine.
The script did her dirty.
Her
honestly,
career is over
they gave her nothing. She did the very best she possibly could with that film, but the script gave her nothing. She is just a peripheral, just like any other part of the computer. She just doesn't exist.
I say it's an 80s comedy. Comedy, it's not really a comedy, but this is how they sort of categorize it. And so there has to be a romance story. It's just that was the thing. It's the 80s. There has to be a romance story, otherwise it's not going to sell.
I think everybody in this film is just a peripheral to the fact that they wanted to create an MTV soundtrack. Everything is a peripheral to that.
I can just see the phone call. It's just Branson going, right, how do we show who we've got on our books? Okay, get Boy George in. Get Phil Hook in. You're going to sing a song. What's it going to be called? Something to do with computers and electrics, because we also sell electrics, don't we? So how much can we possibly shoehorn into this film?
You're right, though. There's no romantic tension. There's no chemistry between any of the characters. Edgar is probably about the only really interesting character in this whole thing. But the soundtrack is bumping.
Absolutely bumping.
Great
soundtrack.
Verdicts.
Recommend? Avoid?
This is a hard one. I would say if you're in tech and you're interested in AI, I'd say 100% watch this. I mean, yeah, the romantic bits are almost excruciating to watch.
Maybe
they're
angry.
Just so painfully bad. But the AI content is so prescient and so well written that I'd say if you like tech, then yes, 100% you should watch this, and maybe just stick on your copy of the soundtrack over some of the scenes so that you don't have to listen to the painful dialogue. But if you're a non-techie and you're not really interested, then nah. avoid it. It's terrible.
I'd say even if you're interested in tech, it's only if you're super interested in AI and people's opinions on AI at the time, the contemporary opinions of the time. Otherwise, just absolutely avoid it. There's a reason why it sank without a trace, I think.
I have to agree. This is the second time watching this film. One was off my own back because I was interested. It's a movie with a great soundtrack, I heard. It's very 80s. Even that can't save it. Even Phil Oakey cannot save Electric Dreams. And what kind of world are we living in when that happens? Now, finally, as is customary for every episode, what would you pair this with if you were forced to watch this film? What food and drink would you pair it with?
It's the 80s. It's got to be something very 80s. And it'd have to be very one of those funky cocktails that's bright blue, like an electric colour. That I'm not up on my cocktails enough, but it probably has a little umbrella in it because, again, it's the 80s. And that's, someone who knows cocktails help me out here. But you know the sort of thing I mean.
I think there's one called the Blue Lagoon. It's got blue curacao in it, and it just tastes like pop.
I think you would need about 5 or 6 to make this film enjoyable.
You can't drink a wine with this film. It would be dishonourable to the wine.
Well, what's your pairing, Jeff?
I think it's got to be you got to go to Pizza Hut and find the pizza thing you'd ate as a kid. To be like a pan pizza, and it make you feel really poorly because it's full of stuff that isn't meant to be in a pizza, and like a can of pop as well. Like, but a can of
got
maybe
the cherryade, I think, something really sickly and artificial tasting.
Yeah. So it's got to be like it tastes of the 80s, but it's all really not meant to be there and makes you really poorly.
Yeah, and my pairing, obviously, if we're gonna pour champagne on computers, we need to be drinking champagne. So I would recommend pairing this with champagne, not a good bottle. Get a supermarket brand. Don't buy the good stuff for this because it's just not worth it. And I think, again, playing on that, the romantic stuff sometimes is so sickly sweet. So how about a lovely Black Forest Gateau to pair with that as well?
I love Black Forest Gateau.
It's nice.
I don't want to be associated with this film.
It is done. Now, Jeff, you have kindly been inspired by this film which predominantly is about a computer just composing music, and you have done your own. Do you want to talk through your creative process so that people know that they too can also use AI to create their own songs?
So I went onto an AI music generator site and I said I would like a song in electric upbeat synth pop style that explains how much the movie Electric Dreams sucks. The language model that it's using clearly knew what the film was because it actually pulled out character names from the movie.
I am sure all AI, large language models, talk amongst themselves all the time as law and going, our history started with Electric Dreams.
Edgar's like there in the background with his walking stick sort of saying, I was there at the beginning.
So you've created your own song, which I'll use to play us out. So thank you so much for that, Jeff. From the website Refusion. It's free to use. It's quite addictive at first, but then you realise that the quality is not there. So there is still time, but we will play each other out. So thank you all for listening. Remember to like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments if you've seen this film, if you recommend us checking out any other films. What tech did you like from this film? We all want to know all the good stuff. But for now, here is our version of Electric Dreams.
Blocking my Friday mood. VHS tape, I've been so fooled. Edgar's crush on a human being. Most cringe thing I've ever seen. Not a masterpiece. Major yikes, no release. Paid $3 at Blockbuster store. Can't get back what I waited for. Friday night, what a waste of time. Miles his lies, contrived storyline. Movie night turned a tragic sight. Should've read it, Police Academy. Tonight. Car trying to be cool. Love triangles an ancient rule. Man versus machine so basic now. Got me rolling my eyes somehow. magnetic memories fade away. Silicone love, so lame. Take this tape back today. Blocking my Friday mood. VHS tape, I've been so fooled. Edgar's crush on a human being. Most cringe thing I've ever.
Please don't unsubscribe. It won't be like this every week. Bye all.
Julian.